feel my legs!
Just keep moving with me!
The old woman almost didn't make it to the stadium that morning. The security lines were long, the summer heat was unforgiving, and her knees ached with every slow step. But she kept moving, clutching the small invitation card like it was the most precious thing she owned. Because today wasn't just any day. Today, her grandson was graduating from the United States Marine Corps training program. And she had promised him, no matter what, that she would be there. If you believe small moments can change entire lives, stay with this story until the very end, and if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so more people can hear stories that matter. She finally reached the seating area and lowered herself carefully onto the metal bench. Around her, families laughed, took photos, and waved tiny American flags. Young Marines stood in perfect lines across the field, their uniforms sharp, their faces serious, their futures just beginning. The old woman smiled, her cloudy blue eyes scanning the formation, searching for one face she knew better than her own reflection. Daniel. Her Danny. She adjusted her sleeve, unaware that the fabric had slipped slightly, exposing the faded tattoo on her forearm. It was old, blurred by time, but still visible, an eagle clutching an anchor, with numbers beneath it. She didn't notice the tall USMC Commander walking down the aisle behind her. But he noticed her. And then he stopped. Completely froze. Commander James Holloway had seen thousands of Marines graduate. He had stood on battlefields, led rescue operations, and delivered folded flags to grieving families. Very little shocked him anymore. But that tattoo. His breath caught. He stepped closer, slowly, like he was afraid she might disappear if he moved too fast. "Ma'am," he said quietly. The old woman turned, startled. "Oh, yes?" His eyes were locked on her arm. Where did you get that tattoo?" She looked down, confused. Then she gave a small laugh. "Oh, this old thing? I got it when I was young. Very young. Long time ago." His voice trembled. "Were you stationed in Da Nang? 1972? Her smile faded. "How do you know that?" she whispered. Around them, families continued chatting, unaware that history was about to collide with the present. The commander swallowed hard. "Because my father served there." The old woman stared at him now. Really stared. "What was his name?" she asked. "Corporal Michael Holloway." Her hand flew to her mouth. And for a moment, 70 years of strength cracked. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Little Mikey's son?" Commander Holloway's eyes filled with tears he didn't even try to hide. "You knew my father?" She reached out, her hands shaking, and grabbed his wrist. "Knew him? I saved his life." The world seemed to go silent around them. The graduation ceremony hadn't even started yet, but for them, time had already stopped. Back in 1972, Margaret Collins wasn't an old woman with aching knees. She was a combat medic attached to a Marine unit overseas. One of the few women working directly near combat zones at the time. She was stubborn, fearless, and had a rule: no Marine gets left behind. Ever. One night, their convoy was ambushed. Gunfire. Chaos. Smoke. Screams. And a young Marine, Corporal Michael Holloway, was hit badly. Shrapnel, blood loss, collapsing lung. The others thought he wouldn't make it. They were under heavy fire and retreat was ordered. But Margaret refused. She dragged him, nearly twice her weight, through mud, bullets flying past her ears. She performed emergency procedures with shaking hands under dim red light. She stayed awake for 36 hours straight, keeping him alive until evacuation arrived. Before he was airlifted out, Michael had grabbed her arm. "If I live, I owe you my life." She had laughed. "Then live. That's payment enough." The tattoo? The entire unit got matching ones after surviving that mission. Back in the present, Commander Holloway wiped his eyes. "My father, he talked about a medic who saved him. Said she was tougher than any Marine he ever met. But he never knew your full name. Only Maggie. She smiled softly. Only he called me that. He passed away 3 years ago, the commander said quietly. But he told me, if I ever met you, to say thank you. Tears rolled down her cheeks. He had a good life? He did, the commander said. Because of you. Just then, the announcer called for families to stand for the entrance march. Margaret quickly wiped her face. Oh dear. I'm missing my Danny. The commander straightened. Which one is your grandson? Daniel Collins. 3rd Platoon. The commander's expression shifted respect, pride, something deeper. Ma'am, your grandson is top of his class. Her mouth dropped open. He is? Yes. And now I know why. As the Marines marched in, Margaret spotted Daniel instantly. Tall. Strong. Determined. But when his eyes found her in the crowd, he turned into that same little boy who used to run into her arms after school. After the ceremony, Daniel rushed over and lifted her into a hug. You came, Nana. I told you I would, she laughed. Then he noticed the commander standing beside her. Daniel snapped into attention. Sir. Commander Holloway studied him for a long moment. At ease, Marine. He then placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. Your grandmother is one of the bravest people to ever serve alongside Marines. Daniel looked shocked. She never talks about it. Margaret smiled gently. Some heroes don't wear medals, Danny. They just carry memories. Weeks later, Daniel was assigned to a humanitarian mission, disaster relief after a devastating hurricane. There, he pulled survivors from flooded homes, carried children to safety, and worked nonstop for days. When reporters asked what kept him going, he said only one thing. My grandmother taught me that if someone needs help, you don't walk away. Months later, Commander Holloway personally wrote Margaret a letter. Inside was a photo of Daniel receiving a commendation medal. And beneath it, a note. Your courage didn't end in 1972. It lives on in him. Margaret framed it and placed it beside an old faded photo of young Marines laughing in muddy uniforms, and one stubborn young medic standing in the middle. On her 80th birthday, Daniel got her a new bracelet. Engraved on it were the words, "No one left behind." The same words she had lived by her entire life. And if there's one thing this story reminds us, it's this: you never know how one act of courage today can echo across generations tomorrow. Kindness isn't small. Sacrifice isn't forgotten. And heroes don't always look the way we expect. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes, the stories that inspire us the most are the ones that almost stayed hidden forever.